Good morning.
This meeting is being recorded.
So I've got the live feed on here. I'm also recording separately. Good morning. I am here today to chat about this week's emotion, the emotion of anger, and how that shows up in our lives and how we can express our anger in healthy ways. I kind of feel like I need to apologize for my hair. I'm finally getting my hair done today after many months, and it's totally irrelevant to what the subject is, but because I'm looking at myself in this screen, I'm just like, wow, this is anyways, it's fun. It's summer. So yeah, anger. This subject seems to have resonated with everyone. I mean, and when I say that, it's just, I get a lot of interesting comments. And what was fascinating about this week is that a lot of the comments that I was receiving were not in any of the social media feeds. They were in private messages, direct messages, emails, responding to my newsletters, saying, oh wow, yeah, this is really showing up. And so much discomfort with anger-related conflict. Makes me think, is all conflict generated by anger? That's a whole other conversation for another time, but a lot of people have shared that they avoid conflict at all costs. And, that's something that I recognize in myself. And I had an experience over the past couple of weeks. I think last week I shared how I was experiencing a lot of anxiety, right along with the theme of the week. And, this week it kind of had this pinnacle that left me super angry at the beginning of the week. And, one of the physiological experiences of really high level anger is you get kind of, I call it a rage hangover, because you're pumping out at such a high level of adrenaline and cortisol that you can't sustain that level for an extended period of time without it impacting you physically, which, I talked about. And so for me, how it manifests in me is, I had this high pinnacle of anger, which I typically don't allow to fully explode. And, that's this thing, like I really equate anger with deep fire. And there's something really beautiful about that fire. And as with using actual fire, it's very, very useful. And we need to cultivate a big respect for it, right? Fire can help us, keep us warm. It can be fuel. It can cook our food for us. And if it gets out of control, as we've seen right now, wildfires, and it's impacting the environment. So, there's this sense of this internal fire. If we let it burn and explode, what kind of destruction will come from it? And we've seen, in some indigenous cultures, the way that they would steward the land, they'd have controlled burns, right? And so it's working with the fire to help regenerate the earth. And, the whole myth of the phoenix who combusts and rises from the ashes, born anew. There is regeneration in that fire. So what I notice is when I keep the lid on my fire, keep the lid on my expression, it depletes me. And so I spent most of my week in a depleted state from not having appropriately expressed the anger that I was experiencing, right? So even though I know all of this, I have these patterns. And what's really cool, today we've got the full moon. The full moon is in Aquarius, really calling for us to deeply release, like deep patterns that are no longer serving us. And, here I was sitting in this really old pattern for me. When I was a kid, I would have these explosive tantrums. And, it wasn't okay. It wasn't safe. It was probably like so hard for my parents to deal with, but I learned to put that lid on. And through some of my own personal work that I've been going through over the past several months, I have begun to take the lid off of that. And it's a really divine experience to surrender to that divine flame of anger or rage, whatever that experience is, because there is regeneration in that feeling of destruction. And I'm not saying that you need to be destructive to others. That's not at all. But internally, looking at what you worry might be destroyed if you were to authentically express yourself in that anger. What would it be like? And how can you do it without harming others? That's not to say that it won't be hard for others to receive your expression of the impact of the scenario, right? But that's the thing. It's, being allowed to step back and say, hey, you know what? I'm feeling really angry about this thing. And you can deliver it calmly, right? That's that getting present. That's the call to journal. Like, okay, what exactly is going on? Once you untangle what has been triggered, what that spark point is. Bonjour, Anouk. Can I make this shareable? Yeah, I can. I have to fiddle around with a few things. I'm also recording it separately, so I will see if I can get my sweet assistant to work with me on this. Sorry, I got sent off track here, but taking that step back, untangling what the root of that trigger is. It's like, okay, when this event happened, I noticed that I felt angry. And here are the ways that I felt in that experience. This takes a lot of practice. And like I just said, this week in the conflict that I had, I wasn't being as mature as I'm explaining it all to be. But what my MO is I know that I'm very, very angry, and so I retreat. I need that quiet time. If I'm with someone who just keeps coming at me and saying, like, we need to talk about this, we need to get into it, that takes me out of a sense of safety, and there's a lot of reasons why. And so I honor my need to have that quiet time. And it's like, this is what I need for myself to be safe, and also for you to be safe, because I know that I can come out swinging. We're in Leo season now. It's like the fire is on. I'm a Leo. This is my birthday weekend. And so I know that fire is in me, and I don't want to hurt other people, but I also don't want to squish the fire. I don't want to tamp it out. I want that fire to burn and hum in me in a way that propels me forward, not that destroys others, right? I want it to destroy that which no longer serves me. So if it can destroy patterns, fabulous, but not people. So my hope in what we've been talking about is that you can start to make friends with your anger. You can start to find the beauty that lies within that anger, because anger is really beautiful. It is divine. And it can destroy that which needs to be destroyed, but not with abandon, right? So we need to be selective. That's why the journaling, the welcoming of the anger, the noticing, like, wow, I'm feeling anger right now. And if you're trying to pull back from this anger that you're experiencing, starting to explore why. What is it in this feeling that I am avoiding? For some people, it's shame. For some people, it's, it triggers memories of abuse. But, like anything that is buried, it will come back. It will come back. It can either be a seed that's planted to blossom into something really beautiful, How are you nurturing it? How can you nurture that anger without holding on to it and letting it fester into something that will become destructive? So let's see. I've got a question from Anouk. Can you make this shareable? And I think that is it for questions so far. Who else? Sorry about the other recording. Let's see. Who else is on here? I can't see. I'm still getting used to this live thing. But any comments down below, I'm happy to answer them even after the fact. And any other emotions that you want me to cover, I am happy to keep adding on to that. Next week, we're going to be looking at sadness, because that is something that typically follows a big period of being angry, right? So that rage hangover can lead into that depletion, that feeling of sadness. And we'll take a look at that. And that's it for today. I'd love to know how these lives are landing for you. If there's something that you feel is missing, or that you're like, oh, I really wish this could happen. Talk about this, Jess. Like, I am really looking for suggestions. And, I just want to provide the most value that I can here. And I'm just having a great time seeing a lot more engagement and just more folks showing up. This is the stuff that really lights me up. So, after the week that I've had, I'm appreciating this very much. I like it to be reciprocal. So I want to wish you all a fabulous Friday. And if you're watching this later, fabulous, whatever day of the week it is for you. And as always, embrace the emotions that are coming up. If you allow yourself to surrender, it won't sweep you away. It'll connect you more deeply within. All right. Bye for now. Big love to everyone here.